Well, good morning, everyone. We may have a few more that are coming in to join us, and we thank you for being here on this wonderful Wednesday morning. Wish the sun was shining, but I guess it's not snowing, so that's a really good thing, right? We welcome you here to John Harris Elementary School. We are going to have a brief welcome from our superintendent, and Dr. Maher, if you'll join us down here and say hello to these wonderful folks.
Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Thanks for being here. Much appreciated. Your presence is truly valued by the school district. I don't know if you caught it, but I did when Deanne introduced me and said that I would give a brief welcome. And she really emphasized brief. That's because she's heard me speak a lot. So the necessity for brief. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my day. My day started at STI. There's a function going on out there, and we're working on workforce development and what can we do for our community and how do the Sioux Falls School District play into that. And they had a very nice breakfast there. And then I came here and saw the coffee cake and went, oh, I couldn't, but I did. That was delicious. And a little bit later this morning, I get to go down to Washington Pavilion and eat with students from Lowell Elementary at a lunch etiquette luncheon today. So I shouldn't go home malnourished today, for sure. One other story I'll tell you is I got to make sure I don't break into the wrong speech, because on Saturday past, I walked my youngest daughter down the aisle and had a great, thanks. And we had a great family gathering and so forth, and all of the love that comes with those sorts of things. So that was great, and now I get to be here with you, a much smaller gathering than what we had Saturday, but meaningful as well. And here's why I bring up the wedding. Number one, because it's such a great and recent memory, but number two, it brings a whole lot of worlds together with hope for where my daughter and her new husband are headed. And I think in a lot of ways, that's what this group is. It brings a lot of worlds together. Today you're going to get to see a preschool. You're going to get to be in the beautiful John Harris Elementary School. And you're going to bring in all of the wisdom and experience of your years back to us so that we can learn from you and keep those generations in our educational family together. I also know there are a lot of things you could be doing this morning. I know Mrs. Erickson is at Bible study, or she might be here. And so for you to spend your time with us is something that we really value and really appreciate. So thanks for being here with us this morning. That probably doesn't count as brief, but that's about as brief as I get. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'm going to leave and get on to my next meeting. So thanks for being here with us.
When I said the word brief, I caught his eye out of the corner, so I knew he was going to say something about that. I guess when you work with someone for a while, you get to know them, and you can share those nonverbal cues here and there. So next, we are going to have Nancy Hagen, who is the principal here at John Harris Elementary. Nancy does a fantastic job, and she leads a fantastic school. So we will have Nancy come forward, and I think she's going to share something about maybe one of you out here, shall I say.
Good morning and welcome to John Harris Elementary, and I am Nancy Hagen, the principal. I have been serving John Harris Elementary for 8 years, and before that I served at Terry Redlin and Jane Adams and Annie Sullivan, so I've become familiar with the district over the years. But in the meantime, I feel very blessed to serve the John Harris community. We have about 680 students that attend John Harris. We have amazing children here, parents that are involved in their child's education. we have a staff here that is so passionate about children and educating children for the future. It's just a privilege to work here and for the Sioux Falls School District. I do want to welcome one of our guests. As you were moving down to the library, you might have noticed, or maybe on your way out, you will notice the flags in our multi-purpose room or our lunchroom. 5th grade students at John Harris, they all get an opportunity to draw a flag. And those flags are whittled down to 5 finalists, and then the staff and the PTA select the final flag that will hang in our lunchroom. And it is quite an honor for me to have Shirley Stevens here, because Shirley has sewn each of those flags. And it's an honor for me to show those flags and display those flags and talk about those. And Shirley, thank you for coming this morning, and thank you for sewing our flags. I also wanted to briefly mention that here in the elementary school, I know that you can envision what occurs within our classroom. We are teaching the kids the fundamentals, reading, writing, mathematics, all of those foundation skills that are so very important for our youngest learners. And yet it's so much more. In our schools, in our world, we're teaching our youngest children to be communicators and collaborators and critical thinking. In fact, this morning on my desk, I had to share a letter that I received from a student. When you talk about communication, this is from a 1st grade student. And I have started a lunch bunch group for kindergarten students. I will eat lunch with kindergarten students 2 or 3 at a time, and we're rotating the students so we all get a chance to eat lunch. Well, this letter is from a 1st grade student. And she says, "Miss Hagen, I love you, but why do you get to eat with kindergarten students and not 1st grade students? What did you eat for lunch? I made a good lunch. I love you, Gabriella." So how could I not make lunch plans with her? So I'm going to connect with her later this week and find a time that I can eat lunch with her. But when we talk about helping our students to develop into communicators and collaborating in this world that they will grow up in, already they're making a statement or a plea for what they would like to have happen in their little lives. So I wanted to share that with you. Thank you for coming. You're going to get a chance to visit some of our youngest students here, and it's such an honor to have you here. Thank you for coming, and thank you for spending your morning with us.
So this morning we put together an opportunity for you to go into our preschool classrooms. Now, the Sioux Falls School District has had preschool for many, many years that has been federally funded. So we serve about 1,068 children, 1,068, 3, 4, and 5-year-olds through early childhood and Head Start. That is a federally funded program, and those children are identified for service because of their socioeconomic status. Their families may not be able to pay for a quality preschool education, and also because a child may be identified with a delay in learning of some sort. So we have about 1,000 children in our schools who are 3, 4, and 5-year-olds getting that preschool education and paid for by the federal government, or really by all of you, right, through taxes. Then actually it was in the fall of 2013, so we are 3 years in. we started to hear a number of people who were moving to Sioux Falls from other states say to us, well, I'd like to get my child into preschool. Well, they generally, many of them were recruits for Sanford or Avera, and their child would not necessarily qualify under the socioeconomic status, nor did they qualify as having a learning disability or disabling condition. So they were used to coming from other states where there was preschool available to their children inside the public education system. There are 40 states in the country that offer state-funded preschool. So South Dakota is not one of those 40. And that was odd to these people who were moving into Sioux Falls, and they were wanting the convenience of being able to drop their child off. Maybe they have a second grader and they drop their child off at school. They wanted to drop their preschooler off as well. And we didn't have a program in order to meet those needs of those families. Now, you are probably all very familiar with private funded preschools in Sioux Falls. The Apple Trees, MB has a wonderful program. Washington Pavilion, and many churches have their own preschools as well. We do not want to compete with those folks. We need them because we don't have the space to take all of those preschool children under the roof of the Sioux Falls School District. Our facilities are just not ample enough to welcome all of those children in. So we really appreciate the private preschools in our community. We couldn't do it without them, but we noticed and we wanted to make it available to families who wanted their child in the public schools for that preschool education. So in 2013, we started with one classroom over at Harvey Dunn Elementary. That was our first location. And by one classroom, I mean we have a morning session of children and an afternoon session of children. We use one classroom. So we had space in 2013 to have one classroom of children. We take 17 in the morning and 17 in the afternoon. There is a teacher in the classroom and an education assistant. So there are 2 adults in the classroom per 17 students. A ratio of 8.5 to 1 is a pretty good ratio when you have lots of little learning bodies and minds that are inquisitive and learning how to be social, learning how to take turns. It's a busy time, definitely, in that classroom. So 17 is the number that we've settled on. We filled a morning and an afternoon class at Harvey Dunn. And then we had a waiting list. So in the summer, the following year, we called Nancy Hagen. And Nancy was a little apprehensive to come down to the Instructional Planning Center, wondering why are they calling me in the middle of the summer? Yeah, exactly.
What have I done wrong?
Right? Well, we met Nancy that day, told her about the number of children we had on a waiting list. We had 21 children at that time on a waiting list. And we were looking for the opportunity to expand that program and open another classroom. Well, as the worlds came together, and thankfully they did, Nancy had some space available, and there was someone in our community that has had a wonderful history of teaching the youngest children. And we were able to talk her into becoming our teacher for us. So in a very short amount of time, we got those 17 children, we got 17 in to welcome them for the start of the fall season. And I think I remember it was like the end of July we did this, and we were working hard to get it rolling in a short amount of time. Molly Wilson is that person. You're going to hear from Molly and see her in action. She is a phenomenal preschool instructor. she was working in the private sector in a preschool, and that preschool closed. And I have never seen so much devotion from someone at that time that the preschool closed that she was operating. We were opening Harvey Dunn, but she would not let those families go out on their own and find another preschool. She was committed to finding a quality preschool that worked for every family that she previously served. So she came over to Harvey Dunn and she wanted to check out our program before she was going to recommend that her families that she had under her wing, that her families were going to come and enroll with us. Just an incredible person, an incredible instructor, wanting what's best for each and every child that she touches the life of. So as I said, that following year then, we were able to ask if she would join us in our endeavors to have a quality preschool, and we are so thankful that she did. Molly now serves as the coordinator of our preschool program. And since that time, we've added a classroom over at Discovery Elementary and 2 classrooms at Sonia Sotomayor Elementary. That's our Spanish immersion school. So students in that program are receiving preschool delivery in English and in Spanish. They're learning the basics like shapes, colors, numbers, those types of things. But part of their delivery is in Spanish and part of it is in English. So since we have 4 sites now, Harvey Dunn, John Harris, and Discovery and Sonia Sotomayor, we decided that it was time to put our arms around that, make sure that every one of our classrooms is doing the same in terms of providing that preschool education. And Molly does that for us, and she does a phenomenal job. She sends some questions out once a week to these instructors, and she copies a number of us, the principals and myself, on that email, asking them, giving ideas to these instructors about how to teach a topic. And I tell you what, I wish I would have had the forethought to have one of those emails here. She is amazing when she is teaching, if they're learning a concept, she goes through piece by piece by piece, describing to them in a simple email how they can make a more effective lesson to help these children learn. So why is preschool education important? Well, national research would tell you that, let that pass. National research will tell you that children who have a preschool experience do better academically in school. They're more prepared. They know how to share with one another, walk in a line, all of those organizational things that we learn, being social, being friendly, being a team player, not all about me, but about us. So they do better academically. They earn higher salaries after graduating from high school. They go on to college and earn higher salaries. And there's less criminal activity in children who are in preschool. And there's been a number of studies over time following these children who have had preschool opportunities. So we certainly respect the families that say, no, my 3, 4, or 5-year-old is going to stay at home or in a preschool or in a daycare setting prior to, coming as a kindergartner. That's fine. It's individual parent choice. So we don't require it of anyone. Our state does not require it of anyone, but yet there are a lot of people out there, myself included, who want that preschool education for their child. And we wanted to be able to answer that call for parents who had a need. They were looking for convenience. So we found the space in our schools to do this. Now, those 17 children in each classroom are here for 3 hours in the morning, and we have another group that comes for 3 hours in the afternoon. 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, and actually we just take 4 and 5-year-olds in the Learning Adventures program. 3-year-olds, there's still some bathrooming, situations and issues, so we just go with 4 and 5-year-olds. And they are eager to learn, but by the end of 3 hours, their bodies and minds are ready for a break. So we don't have the space to provide wraparound childcare in our schools. Our facilities are well used, but we just don't have the extra space to keep them here. So they arrange transportation. Parents are required to arrange transportation. There's a lot of carpooling that goes on, and in some cases, the daycares in the city will come and pick children up also from the preschool program. So it has worked wonderfully well for us. In the classroom, a typical day is greeting time in the morning, where they're doing things like calendar, dates, talking about the weather, talking about feelings, giving people a chance to all discuss what's on their mind for the day. They go into a reading activity. There are math concepts taught, science. We have art, lots of fun little art projects. They have an opportunity to do music in the classroom. They don't go to a special, as we call it. They don't go to the music room, but there are instruments and tools in the classroom to help them with exploration, so they're getting some of that fine arts as well. And then we're working on large motor skills, fine motor skills, simple things like, how do you fold a piece of paper, how do you cut, those types of things. So giving them the very basics. We've had wonderful feedback from our families who have joined us. In fact, last evening we had an open house at all of our preschool locations to allow families to come in and see the classroom, get that comfort level, talk with the teacher, ask any questions that they have prior to their enrollment with us. So in those 4 locations, we have a little more than 100 students currently learning, and this is a fee-based program. As I described, early childhood is federally funded. This preschool opportunity is fee-based. So the parents pay every 2 weeks, and it's $125 every 2 weeks. That's actually very competitive and a bit lower than most of the other preschools in our community. We survey and find out about the costs of those preschools as well, because we want to make it an affordable option. And so the tuition then pays for the teacher, the education assistant, and also the supplies in the classroom, the art supplies and things like that. So we're going to give you an opportunity. This classroom that Nancy found for us is not huge and spacious. It works, but it's not one of our largest classrooms in the school district. So we are going to take a group of you to that classroom to see this in action and to hear Molly in her instruction. And then on the flip side of that, those of you who don't go with us the first time will have an opportunity to hear from Stephanie Hagen. If her name is familiar, it's because 1 week ago, she was named the Dr. John W. Harris Sioux Falls Teacher of the Year. So Stephanie is a 3rd grade teacher here at John Harris, and what an honor to have a John Harris teacher win the award that is named for the man whose namesake this building is after. So you will hear from Stephanie. So we'll have that opportunity, and then we'll flip opportunities. So those of you who go with us first down to the preschool room will then hear from Stephanie the second time. Our job as a school district is to see children through to graduation and help them be as successful as they can be. And, research, you can argue with it, well, a child should be at home with their parent. Maybe, but how many of those parents are actually at home? Many of them in our day and age are working now. And so what experiences, if the parent is not at home, what experiences do we want to help shape the lives of those 3, 4, and 5-year-olds? Do we want it in a setting where they're learning such things as fine arts and science and things at that early young age? I don't think anyone can argue with the life lessons a parent teaches their child. Unfortunately, our society and our need for income and survival requires that both parents oftentimes work, and so it's a conversation that you could pick apart in a million different pieces. But at the end of the day, the Sioux Falls School District, our job is to help students graduate and become as successful as they possibly can be, despite those socioeconomic factors, despite any learning delays that they may have. We're going to work as hard as we possibly can. So this preschool growth and development in the school district is one step to help us continue to do that. And the fact that parents are signing up and competing for those spots shows us that there's a need in the community and a desire in the community that the public schools do have this opportunity for families. So this is Stephanie Haig, our 2017 Dr. John W. Harris Teacher of the Year. So we are going to take one half of you down to the preschool room while Stephanie talks to the other half, and then we will do that swap and bring the first group back and take the second group, and Stephanie will talk to the second half of you. So just for ease of, why don't we take this group and here, and Martha and Joanna and this group, why don't you stay and talk to Stephanie first, and then we'll do our swap.
Well, first, just thank you for joining us here at John Harris this morning. I understand that you are taking a look at our preschool. We have enjoyed having that addition here at John Harris, and it's always fun to see our youngest learners in the hallways and to see their artwork and their excitement, so that has been fun for us. I have been a teacher here in the Sioux Falls district for 14 years, and I've been at John Harris for 9. I've taught lots of different grades, and I've enjoyed them all. I was just having a conversation this morning with somebody, and somebody who's making a change in grade level, and I have always said that I change things up about every 3 to 4 years, and it's not because I don't enjoy where I'm at. It's just I enjoy learning something new, and I've liked every grade level that I've taught. So I've worked with kindergarten, and I taught reading recovery, so one-on-one with students and helping figure out reading with them on that level, and then second grade, first grade, fourth grade, and third grade. So I am currently third grade teacher now. Before I became a teacher, I actually had a business degree and enjoyed that, liked it a lot. But when I was reflecting and having lots of conversations with my family, it wasn't necessarily what I saw myself doing for the rest of my life, and got introduced to Junior Achievement, was a volunteer with them, and had a great teacher that I worked with there who kind of encouraged me, and then I decided to go for it. So it was kind of a leap of faith, and one I'm glad that I took. Went to work somewhere else, very flexible with me, allowed me to go back and forth to classes, and was able to work at the same time, and I haven't necessarily looked back since. So it's been a fun process, a great journey, and one that I have really enjoyed. So we have a lot of great things here at John Harris, lots of wonderful teachers that do great things in their classrooms every day. This is kind of the time of year where we start to see a lot of our parents and grandparents because they're coming out to volunteer with us for field trips. They're mentoring in our buildings. We have classrooms that showcase their work of their students this time of year, and it's always great to see everybody in our buildings. So I think that's something that's great about John Harris, is that we open our doors, as do all public schools and private schools as well. But the more people that we can invite in to see the good things that we do that can serve the needs of our students, I think that just makes us a stronger school community.
So in reading the nomination, for Stephanie Hay. There's no shortage of reasons why she was chosen as Sioux Falls Teacher of the Year. Some of the creative programming that she's provided and curriculum that she's provided to students really stood out. And in fact, some of the letters, I think there were 1 or 2 letters that were written by students themselves, talking about some of the projects that she has had them work on. Some poetry, is that right? And
Yeah.
a Coffeehouse theme. These kids got to do some poetry and some work, and then I'll have Stephanie tell you a little bit more
Sure.
about that project.
Sure. My own children participated in an event, and it was called a Courage Coffeehouse, and I saw their excitement for that event and how engaged they were, and approached Mrs. Hagen and said, I think that would be kind of fun to do here, and so she was very supportive of that. And we implemented that when I taught second grade, so it's been a few years, and I think they've kind of modified it and made it their own. But the purpose was to have our students research a historical figure that demonstrated courageous attributes. And then they would take that and relate that to themselves, and they would write then a narrative piece about a time that they demonstrated courage, and then they followed that with a poem that they would also write about themselves in a courageous experience. So they were, comparing historical people to themselves, and kind of able to reflect on how sometimes we always, we'll say courage doesn't always roar, sometimes it's that quiet voice. So that's kind of what we were hoping that they could recognize in themselves, that, even though you may not have done something world noteworthy yet, you learned how to ride your bike without training wheels. And so just, recognizing that they too, in their everyday lives, have that courage, and sometimes things are hard and you can do it. And that's kind of the premise of that event. That has stayed with second grade. Third grade, a few of us have adopted what we call a genius hour, and that's been a fun process. This is our second year with that, and we got that from Google. And the purpose of that, Google allows their employees 20% of their work day or work week to research things that they are passionate about. And with that, Gmail has come to be, and some other interesting programs that Google have developed, just because their employer recognizes the value of allowing people to research and innovate and create things that are passionate to them. So education's taken that concept and brought it back into the classroom, and we allow students a certain amount of time every week to research things that are interesting to them. And right now in my classroom, we are working on saving zebras. And
Is that why you chose the attire today?
I did.
Oh.
No.
Yeah.
Theme? No. What else? One of my students is designing a cardboard pinball machine. The other is researching the nervous system. So just kind of a wide variety of things. And with that, then they are allowed the ability to present that to our parents and our grandparents and neighbors and special guests. We open it up for a showcase. So they're proud of the work they've done. They've spent a lot of time. It means something to them because we've given them that choice. And they can present by making a movie or a brochure, or I have some of them actually building a pinball machine, and they'll bring that in and they share what they've learned. So through that, we are not stepping away from any of our content area or standards. Our students are writing and they're reading and they're researching, and they're just a different way of engaging in an activity that we would be doing anyway in our classrooms.
Well, good morning. My name is Molly Wilson. In preschool, they call me Miss Molly. And Miss Lori is the other teacher here in preschool. And we are so glad that you could join us today. This is our Learning Adventures preschool class here at John Harris. And our friends in here are 4 and 5 years old. And we just have a lot of fun in here. So we're glad that you could join us. So we have a few things that we wanted to show you this morning. And then we will get to interact a little bit more with you, which we're excited about. So we're going to start by doing our Pledge of Allegiance. So you are welcome to stand and join in with us for that. So, all right, so preschool friends, turn and look at me first. Preschool friends, turn and look at me. Okay, put out your waving hand. That's our right hand. Put your right hand, oh, Jack, remember, turn and look at me first to wave. There you go. Now wave. That's your right hand. Take your right hand and put it on your heart. There you go. Okay, there's the flag. Here we go. Show me your nice still bodies and feet. Okay, here we go. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good job. Thank you, Max. Okay, Miss Lori, here we go.
Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after.
All right, very good. We've got a few more for you, and as we were saying earlier this morning, nursery rhymes are such an important part of what we do in preschool, as we are building that foundation before children are learning to read and all that. The rhythm and rhyme of language is a really important piece. So we do a lot with nursery rhymes in our class. So boys and girls, are you ready for Humpty Dumpty? Here we go.
Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again.
Okay, here we go. Let's do Hickory Dickory Dock.
Hickory dickory dock, the mouse ran up the clock. The clock struck 1, the mouse ran down. Hickory dickory dock.
Good, here we go. Let's do
1, 2, buckle my shoe. 3, 4, open the door. 5, 6, pick up sticks. 7, 8, lay them straight. 9, 10, let's do it again. 1,
very good
2,
job.
buckle my shoe.
Are you ready for Jack? Be nimble. Okay, this is Jack.
Be nimble, Jack, be quick. Jack jumped over the candlestick.
Very good. Okay, get out your oars. Are you ready?
Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream.
Very good job. Preschool friends, you may sit down on your bottoms. It is such a pleasure to be in the preschool room every day, Miss Lori, and I just absolutely love being here, and it's just an amazing experience to be able to watch these little ones come in at the beginning of the year and to grow together and play and interact, and we do a lot of painting and exploring, and last week we were learning about construction and we got to build a birdhouse together. One of the fathers from our classroom came in and helped us with that, and we just have a lot of fun in preschool. So it is an absolute pleasure to teach preschool. It's the best job in the whole world, and we're so glad that you could be here with us today. So what we're going to do next is we're going to come join you at the tables, and we would love to play bingo with you. So this bingo game is a little bit different, It's a bingo game that helps us focus on our listening skills and some language development. So hearing sounds and being able to identify what that is and talking about things from our community that help us to be able to play the bingo game. So when our preschool friends come over to the tables though, we have been working on our social skills. So they're going to hold out their hand and they're going to shake your hand and practice saying, "I'm Molly, it's nice to meet you." So if you could introduce yourself to them, that would be wonderful. First time around we were a little shy, but I think we're warmed up and ready now. So preschool friends, when it's your turn, you may go choose a place at the tables. And you know what? I think our bingo cards still have the markers on them, so we can take those off so we're ready for our next game. Okay, so let's see, Layton and Kaden and Max, you may go first and choose a place at the tables. Find someone to introduce yourself to. All right, Kennedy and Jack and Cooper, you can go ahead. Good, Cooper. Say Cooper. You can sit there, but first we'll meet someone new.
Hi, Marcia. Nice to meet you too.
If you would like. All right, Ellie and Krisha and Lily, you may go choose a place to sit. Find an adult to introduce yourself to. Yes, preschool friends, make sure you're saying it's nice to meet you. Victor and Tony, you may go choose a place.
I'm Melody.
Thank you, Cooper.
Kennedy.
What's your name? Cooper. Nice to meet you. I'm Melody.
Victor, where would you like to sit? Would you like to come over here?
You could even sit on that chair right there. What do you say?
Victor.
Do you know what this is?
Want to sit with Miss Lori? Would you want to sit with Miss Lori?
Is everybody ready?
And I have a lawnmower. I didn't have these guys last time.
Here's our first one. We've been talking about how we've been hearing more birds lately that it's spring. Just hard to know. Okay, here's the second one. That just means time for the next one.
Let's hear it again.
This one. That one flies in the sky. That one was what? Kaden, which one did you say that was?
Airplane.
Airplane.
But it was not an airplane. It was a helicopter. It was not a helicopter.
Teresa, that one was the airplane.
I'm too big, I think.
Oh, listen to those children. It's weird how they think they're playing at the park. I think so too. They're playing at the park. Do you have a picture of children playing at the park?
We have a pool, don't we?
Did you have it last time?
And it's swimming like the last time I did.
They have a hot tub and a splash.
Oh, what's that?
That's a lot.
Thank you very much. My son is active duty and he is special ed. So any association.
Boys and girls, raise your hand if you know what that sound was. Cool. What was that? That was a car. Now, usually when you're driving, we don't honk that many times.
Hopefully
I'm not sure. Sometimes you hear fun stories from them that night. Oh, my mom honks all the time. Okay, here's the next one.
A helicopter.
This one is in the grass. It helps
Summertime.
It helps. You don't have that. Do you know what does the lawnmower do?
It cuts the
It's kind of
cuts the grass.
It cuts the grass. When our grass gets long, we use a lawnmower to cut the grass. Here's what I would like you to do. I would like my preschool friends to turn and look at the adult that is sitting close to them. And I would like you to say to them, I want you to look at their eyes and I want you to say, thank you for playing with me. Very good. And then preschool friends, I want you to come get your special paper to give to them. And then we will say goodbye. Your special paper. Your special paper.
Did I get it?
Your special paper. Just a second. I'll give you that to Chris, share your and make sure you say thank you for coming. Say thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Cole.
Thank you.
Very much. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Would you like to go get this one? This one, Jeff.